All right, man, come in, sit down, get comfortable, and I hope you brought a bunch of dollar bills. But before I tell you about all that shit that's going on, I got a handful of things to throw at you like I normally do. This is one of two types of formats I have within the show. It's 60 to 90 minutes long. This specific episode, we broke into two parts because we just get off the rails, which you'll see. And I got a guest or two on, and we get talking about everything and anything. And then opposite weeks, I have what I call B-Raw Bites. It's me, this microphone, you all listening. They're about 10 to 15 minutes long. And it's about shit that's in my heart and on my mind. And I think, well, actually, I know you should hear. Jump in on those. I've been getting a lot of great feedback. I have great time with both formats. Everything you need to know about the show, you can find at brawpodcast.com. Newsletter, blogs, pictures, articles, merch, everything you need to know. brawpodcast.com. And what you see going on with this project, I'm a one-man band. Everything I do it. I love it. Having a great time, getting some great feedback, meeting some amazing people from all over the world. But I'm asking for your help. If you like what I'm doing here, throw up a 5-star review on the platform that you use. Click the 5 stars, write a review, pass it along to a friend or 7. Everything and anything you could do would be greatly appreciated. And speaking of help, there's no way I'm getting any further without hollering at the two companies that help keep this platform going. It's High Speed Daddy. I got to take a second here and let you know how much I love this backpack I got from Craig over at High Speed Daddy. We just went on a vacation over the holiday. One very small example is we went to the slopes in the morning, kind of midday, and then we went to an indoor water park in the afternoon. All this in one day, and everything I needed to carry to be supplied for my whole family, my wife and our son, fit in this diaper bag plus some. This thing is incredible. It can't be beat. Link is in the show notes. Check it out. Craig's got all this other stuff, and if you think that, here I'm talking about a bag for a family and a child, even if you don't have a child and you need a bag that's just fucking amazing, check Craig out, give him shit for me while you're over there. And also, Live Rishi. These guys make high quality CBD product. I've been using this stuff for over a decade. So take the CBD product you get from the drugstore or the head shop, your local head shop or wherever, throw that shit in the trash. This stuff's all organic, third-party tested, and when it says 1,000 milligrams on the bottle, that's what you get, 1,000 milligrams. They make great stuff. I can't say enough good about this product. And the crew over there is doing an amazing job. And if you use the code TABLE50, you're looking at 50% off your entire order, giving you some love, all right? Links are in the show notes. Make sure you jump on there and support the people that help support this platform, but also give you amazing customer service and amazing product. Nah, man, let's get on to this show. Brian, Unfiltered Discussions. I was honored to be on his episode. I'll put a link to my episode in the show notes as well. Jump over and check that out. Him and I hit it off right away. Awesome dude to hang out with. Of course, I bring him on. We start getting after it in this episode, and we had to shut it down and make a part 2. So look out for that. But Brian and I talk about being fathers, dads, men in general, and then we get into the stories that make us who we are today. He's got some unbelievable stories around strip joints and other things, but as always, I'm going to let him tell you all about it. Let's get to it.
That's it, man. That's it.
I'm going to start recording, dude. How's the old man? You all right?
Yeah, he's going to be fine. He's going to be in there for a few days, but ultimately prognosis is good.
Good. Just getting old and shit happens, right?
That's it.
All right.
Body doesn't like you after a certain age,
Yeah. The only thing undefeated is time.
It's true. It's true. Yeah. You
can't beat it, and you'll never beat it. And I don't give a shit what anybody says about. I love a good conspiracy theory, as you know.
Oh yeah.
So, I just saw one that says, "What flat earthers see on a clear day," and it had fucking the pyramids and the Eiffel Tower and everything, in the horizon. So, I thought that was pretty funny.
That is pretty funny. It's weird, man, though, that you've got all of these people thinking that the Earth is flat, which God bless them. You know what I mean? Like if they're passionate about something, I'm okay with it. But you pull up a telescope and there's not one thing that's flat on this fucking planet or, out there. You know what I mean? Like the sun's round, like planets, stars, everything's round, everything in the Milky Way's round. Like, how do you, are we just that unique? Are we just that spoiled that we think that we have to be the flat ones?
No, absolutely. Absolutely. And then the other thing is too, it goes along with the narcissistic or narcissism.
Narcissistic, yeah.
That, there's no aliens. There can't be life anywhere else. What kind of audacity do you have to think that there is no other life anywhere in the universe? Get the fuck out of here.
Yeah.
But yeah, aliens are, well, I like how they politicized them lately.
It's been an opportune times, my man. Let me tell you, like there's some big news coming out, and all of a sudden, oh look, aliens. We're like, yeah, okay, but what about this other shit that's going on? Like let's just leave that where it is.
Well, that just gives you an idea how old the current administration is. That they think that is like the 70s, where it's like, oh, you don't talk about aliens. Yeah. Oh, you're fucking crazy. That kind of thing.
Oh, well, let's introduce you to hippies. Well, you're 40 fucking years late to that shit. 50 years late to that shit.
Yeah, exactly.
Can we just not? Like, come on, man.
Speaking of conspiracy theories, I just posted some on my social media, and it was a picture of Bigfoot, right? A drawing of Bigfoot.
Yeah.
And it says, I was sitting at the campfire, and Bigfoot come over and took a beer out of my cooler, sat next to me, took a big swig, and looked at me and said, nobody's going to believe you.
And nobody would either. I mean, you'd have somebody on there. But the Finding Bigfoot show came out as scripted.
Wait, what?
It came out as scripted. I've never watched it, but it's Finding Bigfoot. It's like on Discovery or
the
Learning Channel or something, and it came up as
the Learning
scripted.
Channel.
Yeah.
All right. It came out that it was like quote unquote reality TV.
Yeah. Reality with little quotes like, a laser.
Yeah, exactly.
So
reality TV. Jeez. Yeah. Anyway, so what's going on, dude? You all settled in? You good? How's the show? How's the other show doing? How's Unfiltered?
Everything's going good, man. I've got one person to record with left, and I'm not sure if we're going to get to that with all the stuff that's going on, because it's my daughter. My daughter wants to come on and talk. She wants to be a guest. So initially I had a couple people bail out, and thankfully a couple people stepped up and all that sort of stuff. So I was going to do the 20th episode, which is the end of season 1. I was just going to do a recap, and I might still do that. I might hold her interview until season 2, but I'm going to take a nice 6-week break from this thing and start up season 2 when it comes out, and everything's going good, man. I mean, there's a lot of people that are liking the content. A lot of good actually feedback on yours. I have some buddies that were like, "Man, that was a great episode.
Thanks,
I like
dude.
that guy." And I was like, "Yeah, I like him too. He's a good dude."
Thanks, man. I've been listening to it. That's I have, obviously I have a rotation, and there's some people out there. I have my story, and I have stories that come on. Obviously come on my show.
Yeah.
And listen to that. And I just like the tempo of it. Yeah. Right. Cause I'm driving. So it's not like full throttle and crazy energy. Right. It's a nice tempo. I really enjoy your show, dude. I enjoy the tempo or the content. Sorry. Content.
Yeah.
Content. Yeah.
There's been some guests, man, that are pretty interesting. About half of the guests are actually friends of mine or acquaintances in some way, shape, or form. But the other half are people that I'd never met before in person or just met through the whole podcasting gig. And I'll tell you what, I don't think, and I'm going to give myself some kudos, but I don't want to brag. I think that all of the conversations have just been genuine. And that's all I've cared about, is that I just want to have a genuine conversation with somebody. I don't want to play around. I don't want to pretend that I'm something that I'm not. I don't want I don't want to try to edit somebody's story. Their story's their story. It's not my job to edit it, and just publish it and go from there. And I think that that's probably the best part about it for me, is that it's just another conversation, man. And I like having conversations.
Yeah, same here. That's a whole. Now, is that how your podcast Unfiltered got started? Like what happened here? Like,
Kind of. So I'm actually a part of 3 podcasts. So a couple years back, I got a buddy of mine who has kind of done the circuit. He's been an amateur comedian. He's a professional chef. He's actually he tried out for Food Network, got pretty far before the show, all that sort of stuff. And so he's kind of run that media circuit. He's been a radio host, all that sort of stuff. So I've been a big cheerleader of him, and he's a childhood buddy of mine. So I mean, we've known each other for 30 plus years. And the thing that I love about him is that we can get into these debates or conversations that are either very, very serious. You know, they cover, comic books or movies or things that we're into, or we can talk about real life stuff, being a dad or being a man or, stuff like that. And we would have these 4-hour long conversations. And, finally, the guy's wife, bless her heart, man, and I don't say bless your heart like a Texan. I say bless her heart because I really want her to be blessed. But she, I felt guilty because, here we are having a 3-hour, 4-hour conversation, and I'm stealing her husband away from her. And, but we just had these great conversations. And I said, man, you're doing all this media stuff, and now podcasting's a thing because this is post-COVID. I said, why don't we just try a podcast? If people like it, people like it. If people don't, people don't. And if we don't like it, then we don't have to continue it. So we started the Bleach Brothers podcast, and so we do that comes out weekly, and we've been doing that. We haven't missed an episode since we started. We come out weekly. Everything's just us. It's legitimate, meaning that we don't try to script anything. It's really just us doing our thing and talking with guests and talking with whatever the subjects are. Sometimes we have subjects, sometimes we don't. But to piggyback on that, we've met some people through the podcast market that we've really enjoyed. And he is a big metalhead. My co-host is a big metalhead, and he found another big metalhead with another podcast that we associate with. And they had an idea that they wanted to do the other podcast. It's the Dads on Dayquil podcast, and one of the hosts' name is Gnome because he's a short guy. And it's a funny podcast. We really enjoy them. But Gnome at the Dads on Dayquil is a big metalhead, and he and my co-host Jake were talking about trying to do something where they're talking about music. And I said, hey, I don't have a problem putting it together, editing it for you, doing some social media posts, whatever. So they call me the producer at that. So I'm also involved in that one. But then this one here, Unfiltered Discussions, I have a friend of mine, close friend of mine. It's the mother of my godson and goddaughter. And her dad died within the last couple of years. And man, this guy, he reminded me of John Wayne. He's just stoic. He's just a good dude. Like, you get him to laugh, and you get him to before he curbed the alcohol, man, we'd sit there with a bottle of whiskey and we just chop it up. And it was just, it was a great time, and loved the guy to death. He's obviously one of the greatest people that I've met. But when he passed, she had kind of a hard time for a couple reasons. Number one, because she's got a newer baby. I mean, he was able to meet my godson before he passed, but he didn't really get a chance to develop a relationship. And so that was something that was hard for her. But separately, her mom died when she was a young kid. And so she started struggling with the thought that she's an orphan, even as an adult. And I said, I've got this recording stuff. I said, if you just want to let it out, you just want to talk about it, we can sit there and talk about it. If you don't want me to publish it, I won't publish it. If you want me to publish it, I'll publish it. But I mean, we can try to put something together. I mean, nothing scripted. I just want to have a conversation with you, and you tell me what you want to do from there. And so episode 1 came out, and my guest is Nicole, and she's, we sat down at my kitchen table, almost like, your kitchen table. And we sat there and had a conversation and just really enjoyed the back and forth. And it was, even me knowing the story, I wanted to present it in a way where people who didn't know him could at least get a touch of him, if that made sense.
Absolutely.
And so we sat there and had that conversation. I think it was about an hour and a half. And after we were done, she had that feeling of relief that she was able to let things out. I mean, it doesn't change anything, but she was able to talk about it, let things out. And she goes, I really think you have something here. And I sat on it for a couple of days, and I thought, professionally, I was looking at trying to do something before COVID, because I was in a sales position where I wanted to post on the internet webpage or the internet newspaper that we have here in my area. Hey, I want to just have coffee with random people. And I just meet me for coffee, get in touch with me this way. And let's just have a conversation. I just want to get to know new people, want to get to know, people that I would probably never associate with, people who have differences of opinion with me. I just let's get together, have a cup of coffee, and just shoot the shit, you know. And then COVID happened, and so I never really got that done. But I thought, you know, I really like having conversations with people. And so once I published that episode, instantly my inbox on social media was going ablaze. Like I found out that another buddy of mine, he was going through a custody battle for a long time. And I found out, and this is a spoiler for the episode, but I found out that he and his wife ended up making the decision to sign away custody of his son.
Oh,
and he's a fantastic dad. I mean, he's an amazing dad. And I didn't know that. And when we're sitting there talking, and he didn't tell me, he kind of told me that, but he didn't tell me that before we started recording, but he wanted an avenue to be able to talk about it. And we sat down and we had that conversation, man, and he was crying and I was crying. And then I'm editing the episode and I'm crying again.
Oh, yeah,
you know, I listen to it and I cry again, you know, and you know,
so
it was one of those.
Let me hold you up there. Why would, first of all, people need to go listen to the episode, but why did they decide that? What was like one of the big factors?
Question. Real big factor was he was in the military and he was stationed all over the world at different points. And so his son was in Nevada, and the judge in Nevada was pretty stickler that the kid was going to stay in Nevada. So he had visitation, but then of course he had the relationship with the mom where he would have to pay for the flight to go get the kid. And so he lived in Hawaii at the time, and he would fly from Honolulu to Las Vegas, and then the kid would not be at the airport. And he's got, you know, 2 airplane tickets on the ride home that he's got to sit there and pay. So just the most bullshit of bullshit, right? And so
wait, is that drama from the old lady?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, from the mom.
We won't spoil, but yeah.
Yeah. And so, you know, just stuff like that. And so between him and his wife, you know, they would try to be active with the kid, and then like doctor's appointments, they'd want to be on speakerphone because they can't be there, you know, and ultimately it just created a lot of stress on the kid. And he's, you know, they had talked about it, and they're of faith. So they prayed on it and did, you know, a lot of things like that, talk with counsel and whatever. And they just decided that, you know, they love him as much as they could possibly love him, but additional stress on him is not worth their want for him, if that makes sense. And so
totally.
So they ended up making the hard decision of doing that. And I would encourage even to, I know I spoiled the story, but even if you have a chance to go back and listen to it, it's like an hour and a half, might be a little longer than that long. And while it's a long story, it's impactful in a way that when you're in the military, and let's say you need to file bankruptcy or you need to file some sort of legal order or legal judgment or whatever, you have access to JAG. You know, if you get a ticket, you have access to do all that stuff. You do not have access to family court. And when you're dealing with all this stuff, that's a really big opportunity, because the judge advocate general will actually say, you know, we need to refer you to a family court person. And so then he's living in Georgia at the time and having to hire an attorney in Las Vegas. And, you know, it's just a big old pain, man. And it was just cumbersome. And it's a sad story, but I'll be honest with you, man, as I don't know that I could do that ever. And I don't judge him for that, but I hear where he's coming from. And I understand how he made the decision. And he's satisfied with he's not satisfied not having his son, but he's satisfied with the decision because of everything involved. And
my first gut reaction is like, fuck no. But as you hit top line of the episode, if I was in that situation, I obviously fall on my own sword and say, all right, I'm doing this for my son.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Yeah, dude, it'd be gut wrenching. But I think it gets to a point where, I would rather have him healthy than this bullshit back and forth. And then so I'm not comparing, obviously, a child. We both have children, so I'm not comparing a child to a pet by any means.
Right.
But the thing that pops in my head is that these people that have pets, the dog gets old. Let's get dog. Okay. Dog gets older. They're professional. So they go away all day, come home for a couple hours, and they go to bed. Right. Yeah. Now the dog gets sick and then they spend all this money on the dog to keep it around so it can lay around all day, wait for you to come home, spend 20 minutes of it, bitch that you got to take it for a walk, then come home, get on Netflix or your phone, and then dude, let the dog go, bro.
Yeah.
You have
to have the time to invest.
Yeah, but in his situation, obviously, I only know what you're telling me.
Right.
But going back and forth for a month and then putting a kid through that, and then I see you for a half a day.
Yeah.
Or I see you for one day. Come on, dude. I mean, well, God, man, my stomach's all tore up just thinking about it.
Yeah, and he would, I didn't know the finality of that story because, I mean, even his brothers didn't know the finality of that story, just to be candid with you. I mean, if they know, they found out through the episode. He told his parents, I believe, but when he talked with me about it, I'm older than him by, half generation or so. And so he was my buddy's little brother, and so we never really like hung out one-on-one. I mean, we did at times, but it was, until he got older that we kind of established more of a close relationship. And when he started going through some of this custody stuff, I had already gone through a lot of custody stuff and a lot of that sort of stuff already because I had already been in that. And so like for me, I mean, I a lot of the struggles that he dealt with, I dealt with. I mean, it was a very toxic relationship with my ex. I mean, we lived a whole state away. So I lived in northern Nevada. She lived in southern Nevada. Well, states back east, you don't really understand. I mean, you can go from Maine all the way down to Jersey if you want to in a day, and it's no big deal. I mean, it's hours of drive, but it's, no big deal. It's literally an 8-hour drive from where I live to where my ex lived. And so we would meet 4 hours in the middle. And I remember times where I would head out and I would get to the meeting spot, which was a little podunk town with a McDonald's in it. We'd meet at McDonald's, and I'd pick up my kid, hopefully at 8:00 at night or whatever time at night, so that way I could bring her back. And I get a call as I arrive that says, "We haven't left yet."
Oh, dude, now you're at McDonald's for 4 hours?
Yeah, and so I've got the police getting called on me because they think that, I'm the Hamburglar or whatever because I'm a hefty guy or whatever. And so they're trying to make sure that I'm not going to rob the place, And
now was she doing that vindictively?
I have to believe that at least part of it was vindictively because it happened frequently enough to where I think that there was part of it that was, you get a flat tire or something, you can't help that. You know what I mean?
Right.
But when it's a 4-hour drive and you don't call or text at all within the 4 hours that I'm driving to get there, and then you tell me when I get there, and now I have to wait in a parking lot for 4 hours. And it's at this point it's midnight by the time they're arriving and nothing's open. It's a podunk town. So I'm just sitting there listening to AM radio. I mean, it's a crazy thing, dude.
So I've been, obviously, I assume you have too, multiple relationships throughout your life, right? And I would date girls with kids, and this is my son now is my only hopefully my only biological child out there in the world.
Yeah.
And but I would see what some of these women would do holding those kids over.
Oh man,
dude, that is just pure evil.
That's an evil that you just can't even describe.
No, I'm like just sitting there and I'd watch and I go, then they would, the kids would leave with their biological dad, and I go, what'd you do that for? Well, fuck him. He doesn't deserve this. And, and they go off and I'm like, where do you get off on that? I mean, well, if he paid this and he did this and, and it just seemed like, now I don't know if those are the type of women I was dating, but
yeah, I've drugged my dick through those trenches too. So you're preaching the choir.
Just seeing that. I'm like with your ex, I assume ex, right? Sorry, man. She's your ex still?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. It's like, for what? For 4 hours? And now she's got to take time out of her day to give it to you. You know, I guess I would say. Yeah. I don't know. I just don't understand the evil of or the thought process of that sometimes, Or the entitlement.
Yeah.
Maybe that's what it is. Entitlement.
Yeah, there's entitlement there for sure.
Yeah.
You know, and I'll be flat honest, dude. When we were in a relationship, I wasn't the greatest partner to her. I mean, the guy, I fully own that. And but that had nothing to do with the kid, you know, or my relationship with the kid or whatever. And you know, she wasn't the greatest partner to me either. And that doesn't make it right on my end. But I'm old enough and mature enough to at least acknowledge that and to be past that. And I don't wish her any ill will. I mean, she actually moved up here because I got custody, which was a weird story because in the state of Nevada, men were unheard of to get custody.
Oh yeah.
And I ended up getting the custody in 2013 of my daughter,
Congratulations.
full custody, no less. And it was a weird dichotomy because, you know, my daughter's mental health at the time was, I didn't realize where it was at, if that makes sense. And so, you know, we got to where it is now, and she's phenomenal. My daughter's just an absolute blast, but it was fortuitous. I didn't want to fight for custody. I mean, I was comfortable paying the amount of child support that I was paying, and I was dating, and I was having a social life, and you know, not that having a kid's a burden, because it's not, but it does take away from some things that you personally would like to do, or that you might favor over, you know, whatever it is, like doing homework on a Tuesday night or whatever, you know. And so I fought for custody. It was the right reason to fight for custody. And once I had custody, man, it was full go. Like I was dad, and my daughter and I have a phenomenal relationship. I mean, I just saw her tonight, and she's doing so well. She's out of the house. I'm an empty nester, you know, so she's doing her thing, and I'm so proud of her. And she's growing older, and she's got a boyfriend who treats her magically. I mean, thank God, man, because I don't want to have those issues, you know. And he's a good kid. He's got a decent job, and they live together, and man, they're doing things, and it's just really, really cool to see. And you know, I don't want to be a grandpa right this second, so hopefully she waits about 5 years. But you know, I was young having a kid, so I understand that I'm probably going to be a young grandfather, and that's you know, that's my lot in life. Yeah, but it is cool because I get to have the relationship and all that sort of stuff. So. But no, I mean, I could relate to my buddy in that sense. And there's, you know, there's a lot of stories that are on this podcast that aren't about trauma. There's stories about successes and stories about, you know, stuff like that. And I think that it's important to mix it up, because if all you're hearing is traumatic stories, you know, eventually you're going to lose your audience.
Well, that's years ago, my wife and I have been together about pretty much 10 years. And we used to travel like mad. And a lot of it was driving. Mm-hmm. And our go-to was a podcast called The Moth.
Okay.
And that's storytelling podcast. People get on a stage. You got 5 minutes to tell a story, right? And multiple times, man, we'd listen to that. And we'd be traveling in the car. We got 10 hours in the car. We'd put it on. And an hour and a half in, I'm like, dude, I need a palate cleanser. Mm-hmm. Jesus, usually they were really good mixing it up, you know, emotional, going heavy, going light, going heavy, going light.
Yeah.
But there was this one time I was like, okay, enough. Enough, man. You gotta have a little variety in there. Life's not all doom and gloom, man.
Yeah. Exactly.
You know?
And you know, for me, I when I started networking with people who wanted to come on the podcast, you know, I had a lot of people reach out, and it was one of those things that I had to measure. I was like, you know, how much of your story is about you trying to tell a story, or how much of your story is about you trying to sell me something? And then the other part is that how much of your story is going to be traumatic, because I'm all about trauma. I mean, it's everybody's got trauma in their life, right? So you deal with things all throughout your life, positively and negatively. But I also wanted there to be somewhat of a positive, at least, ending to it. Like, yeah, this happened, or here's the advice that I would give to somebody that's going through it, or, you know, something like that, because I don't want that sour, like you said, palate, where it's just like, man, I can't listen to this podcast anymore. I mean, I'm not doing this podcast to get rich. This podcast is great and everything, but wait
a minute. You're not doing it to get wait, what are we doing here then?
Dude, do you got a contract? Because really the only people who have contracts nowadays are Rogan and, you know, comedians and all this sort of stuff. So But no, I do it because it's a good conversation with people that I may have met or may not have met, and it's one of those things that intrigues me that way. I just think it's blissful for me.
100%. And so the way I describe mine is, you wake up every day. The easiest way I describe it is you wake up every day and you got X amount of units of energy, right? So you got 100 units of energy. So now what are you going to do with that? Now this kind of goes back to the negative thing too. Are you going to spend a lot of those units jumping on social media and fighting with people, or complaining, that kind of thing? Or are you going to do positive things? And that being said, my project here gives me a positive ROI.
Yeah,
is it?
Absolutely.
As you know, it's a lot of fucking work.
Yeah.
You got to have some passion in this shit to keep it going. Yeah. But the thing is, if it takes 10 units of energy, majority of the time, I get 12 back.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I mean? It just feels good. It like you and I would have never met.
No,
fuck, dude.
Yeah.
I might have saw you at McDonald's thinking you're going to give me a cheeseburger.
No, buy you a Grimace shake or something.
Yeah, Grimace. That's what. Yeah. But that's what I love about it. Networking through here, talking with people, hearing stories, and then like I'm editing one tonight. My my next episode coming out. This guy is so freaking inspirational, and he does Muay Thai 7 days a week.
Wow,
dude. And wrote a bunch of books, and his goal is to be, because I bring up Anthony Bourdain, right? And jiu-jitsu, and he goes, nah, dude, because he's like our age. He's like, I'm going to wait till I get older, keep training Muay Thai, and then add jiu-jitsu in there and just be this badass old man. And I'm like, oh, dude, I got goosebumps listening to it earlier. Yeah. So, but like that, I mean, it's just, it energized me and it inspired me to write this blog that I just put out about being a warrior poet. And
I read that.
Did you?
Yeah.
Yeah. Just being able to, what a warrior is, what a poet is, the combination of two, and all that good stuff. But yeah, I really enjoyed this and the networking part of it. But yeah, positivity, man. You
and that's really the thing, because I have my own story too, and I try not to trample on other people's story to tell my story. But I think when I hear other people's story, depending on what it is, sometimes I feel like, wow, my life's not that bad. And I don't mean that in a bad way.
No.
But then other times I listen to a story and I'm like, man, this guy's got it going on, or this lady's doing things or whatever it is. And there's been a handful of guests that, like I said, that I would have never met other than this, that I had a blast with, you being one of them. I mean, we sat there and talked, I think, 45 minutes or something after we recorded. We just sat there and shot the shit. And that's not an uncommon thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
And there's been a couple others that I've just really thoroughly enjoyed, and it's been an absolute blast. Hey, I hate to cut this off, but my dog is chewing on this USB cord. Can I just grab the dog real quick?
That's beautiful, dude.
All right. I'll be right back.
Hey, I'm leaving this in there. We're pet friendly around here. Got to save the USB cord. Can't have the dog chewing on it. We'll find out what kind of dog he's got here when he comes back. This is not a bathroom break. It's an intermission to handle the dog. Well, if you got to take a leak, do it quick. You got about 15 seconds. It's like the old days, man. Remember with cable TV, the commercial would come on and you'd haul ass to the pisser and hit the kitchen on the way back just as your buddy on the couch goes, it's on, right? So that's what we're dealing with right now. I was explaining back in the day, man, before you could pause and fast forward through commercials, you're like, fuck, I got 30 seconds to take a piss and grab more chips. So. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, so in my office, I don't have the modem that the cord connects to. So I actually have an extension cord on that cord, and my daughter's dog is here. And next thing I know, I see this cord going. I'm like, well, I'm going to lose
We lose internet here, so
That's
we're
amazing.
good.
What kind of dog is it?
Pain in the ass.
Oh, okay, I like that breed. That's a good one.
I think it's a Maltese and a poodle, but I don't quite know. But he likes to chew on everything.
Oh yeah, dude. I had a oh god, what did they call it? Border collie.
Oh yeah,
full bred, full breed border collie, and she was red and white, not black and white.
Oh, that's pretty.
Dude, she'd look at you and I'd go, fuck, I am so glad you don't have thumbs. Oh my God, you are scary, woman.
Yeah.
They are unbelievably intelligent. So
my dog
thought about that with the poodle. Because poodle is ranked the smartest dog, I think.
But this one's kind of dumb. So I don't, that might be the Maltese.
Bringing it down.
My dog it's actually a border collie Jack Russell mix. And he's 11. And he's mild now, but when he was a puppy, oh my God, dude, spin on one leg.
Oh yeah, dude, I can't even imagine. Have a little bit of intelligence with the energy of a terrier.
Yeah.
Right. Oh
yeah.
Good luck with that.
Yeah, it was crazy.
Yeah. Absolutely hey man, crazy. We all get old and slow down, right?
That's it. Dude, our numbers all called eventually.
Yeah, that's it. Yep. You're in Nevada now?
Yeah. I actually grew up in Nevada. I live right outside of Reno. So I'm right outside of Reno in Lake Tahoe. So it's really cool over here. But I grew up in the Las Vegas area, and that's kind of a shithole, if I'm being honest.
What do you mean, kinda?
So everybody over there goes, yeah, right. So everybody's like, oh, it's the neon sandbox, right? No, it's the neon cat box.
Dude,
it's terrible, man. Like I hated living there. And here's the thing: like I am not a person who judges people on anything, right? And if you listen to my show, you'll understand that like I love everybody. But I was so broke, dude, moving down there when I got divorced, my ex-wife moved down there. And so I followed to be closer to my kid.
To Vegas now.
To
right?
Vegas. Yeah.
Okay.
And so I was so broke going down there, and I'm trying to find this place. And I got a buddy of mine who's going to law school down there. And we're like, hey, let's get an apartment together. But he had like this very, very minimal budget because he's a college student.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, okay, well, that means that I get the master bedroom wherever we go. So like, you're going to have whatever's left. And so we ended up renting an apartment that was in like the worst part of town.
I'm pretty familiar with Vegas, so you can drop
Sahara and Nellis areas where we were at. Yeah.
Bro.
And yeah. I think it was, I don't remember how it worked because it's been several years, but I think north of us was all Hispanic. South of us was all, Black or African American. And right where we were at, where our apartment was at, there was a lot of gang activity between the two sides. And so we'd hear drive-bys and we'd hear all this sort of stuff. And it was gnarly. And I remember it was 4th of July. I wake up and it's like 95 degrees in my apartment. I'm like, what in the absolute ass is going on here?
Yeah.
And so I called my landlord. They said, okay, well, we'll get maintenance out. Can you go somewhere for the day so that way we can get your apartment cooled down? I said, yeah, that's fine. So I found somewhere to go, and of course it's 4th of July, so I'm out until God knows when in the morning, and it's probably like 3 or 4 in the morning. I head back home thinking, okay, it's going to be, 75 degrees in my apartment now. No, they fixed my air conditioning, but they never turned it back on. And so it's 4 o'clock in the morning, and I'm burning up, dude. And so I take the coldest shower that I could get. And I'm freezing. I'm shivering. I got chills. I'm like, okay, I'm good. So I go lay in bed. Well, 5 minutes later, dude, I'm sweating.
Oh, yeah, sweating. Shit.
And I'm like, oh my God. Right. So I do this over and over and over. Well, July 5th comes around and I'm fucking useless. I am absolutely useless. And the guy down below me was scary. Like we were cool and everything, but he was just scary. Like not a dude I wanted to mess with. Big, tall, buff dude that would kick my ass, and I never wanted to get on his side, right? Like on that side of him. And so, but he was scary, and he was obviously a part of a gang, and he had gang activity going and whatever. So we'd do the nod, at each other. Yeah. I'd walk in, do the nod, and he'd see me leaving. We'd do the nod, and that was our interaction, right? Well, this particular day, man, it's probably like probably a little later. It's probably like 8 o'clock at night, and the sun's just starting to go down, and I'm tired, dude, because I really didn't sleep the night before, and I'm pretty much useless on this Sunday anyway. And I'm watching. I think I was watching the news, or I'm watching something, and from below me, from what feels like the apartment right below me, I hear this boom. And then I'm like, holy shit, it's a gun, right? Shotgun, something's going on.
Right.
So I'm thinking, oh no, if there's a shootout or something in this apartment below me, like, where am I going to go? So I start thinking to myself, well, where's there probably not going to be a shootout within an apartment? And my thought process was the guest bathroom. So I go into the guest bathroom and I stand inside the tub and I draw the shower curtain for good measure.
Yeah, because that'll help.
And I'm sitting here and my cell phone's nowhere to be around, right? I'm just like, every minute that I'm sitting in this shower, I'm just thinking, oh my God, I hope nobody's dead, you know? And so I get out of the shower, enough time passed, I get out of the shower and boom. And so I hop back right in the shower. I draw the curtain again, you know, and I'm freaking out. And at this point, it's like, oh my God, what am I going to do? I got to call 911, right? Like, there's something going on. And it's also dark enough where I don't want to like flip lights on in my apartment, because that's going to, you know,
draw attention,
tell somebody that I'm here.
Yeah.
So I end up getting out of the shower again, and I hear the boom. So I drop on all fours, man, and I am military crawling into the living room to try to find my cell phone, you know, hoping that no shotgun blast goes through the floor. And I finally get up on the couch where the cell phone was, and I grab it and I look out the window and I hear another boom. Dude, they were lighting fireworks off. And here I am in the shower, drawing the shower curtain, bro. I'm scared. But that was the type of neighborhood I lived in, dude. I was a grain of salt and a couple shakes of pepper, man. I was scared.
Oh, dude, that's because you know that shower curtain. Good thing you had the shower curtain, dude. That was
made out of titanium. That shit, that's impenetrable.
And that fiberglass bathtub you were sitting in probably will stop something too.
Yeah, exactly.
Dude, exactly. That's awesome. Was it your neighbor downstairs lighting off the fireworks?
Yeah, it was. It was
right from his porch or something?
Yeah, so right outside of my balcony, there was a sidewalk, or like in between the next building, and he was lighting them off from there. But behind us was a hole on a golf course, and so he was aiming it that way. So it, you know, didn't go up and hit the apartments or whatever. And he was being, you know, ironically enough, he was being very responsible with it, even though it's illegal, you know?
Yeah.
And I looked outside, and I'm sitting there just laughing to myself, man. I got nobody that I could tell at the minute. And, you know, my roommate's gone. Like I'm cracking up. And the next time I saw him, I had a little firmer face to let him know that I was, you know, I knew where the tub was, and I got that curtain just in case, you know?
Hey, man. Thanks for now. I got some street cred.
Yeah, exactly.
Dude. Exactly. So that reminds me of out in Colorado. I used to live in Colorado, and I lived in a bad neighborhood too, and it was on a cul-de-sac. But over the tracks and over a street that led into the military base, they were called the flat tops, and it was basically the ghetto, right? Yeah. That was the absolute poorest part of the city. And me and my buddy would get all fucking barbecued, and we get on my back deck and hit golf balls over the railroad tracks, over the street into the flat tops, and we'd hear everybody over there going, "Hey, you sons of bitches!"
Nice.
So nice. It reminded me when you said golf course. I was like, "Oh shit, I remember doing that."
Yeah, I mean, it's a weird place for a golf course for me. I mean, it's a nice enough golf course for sure.
Land was cheap.
Just that neighborhood, yeah. The land probably was cheap, but yeah, Vegas is an interesting place too, because I was also pretty broke moving there, and because right before I moved there, I got divorced, and of course now I'm paying child support, and it's several $100s a month. I mean, it was like $800 a month. And
what were you doing? What were you doing for a job down there?
I worked at a bank, and so I had actually worked at a bank up in northern Nevada and was able to transfer down to southern Nevada. So I of course, with my roommate, we show up, and he doesn't really have any money to his name, and we moved into this place in August, and so his birthday was in September. So September, his birthday comes around in Vegas or anywhere that there's a casino. I imagine you go and you throw $5 in the slots, and you can drink until your $5 is gone. And so that's what we did for his birthday. So we were responsible with it. We took a cab and all this sort of stuff. Cabbie who picked us up at the casino, he says, "Hey, you guys locals?" And we said, "Yeah, we're locals." And he says, "Well, you know that locals, they have this strip club that's called Treasures, and if you have a local driver's license on weekdays from 4 to 6, there's no cover to get in. There's free domestic drafts, and there's food. They'll have like DiGiorno pizzas and jalapeno poppers and all this sort of stuff." So we're like, "No, this can't be true. This can't be true." So the next day, I think that was a Sunday. The next day, that Monday, my buddy and I, we trek over to the strip club, and sure as shit, man, everything that this cabbie said was absolute fact. And so we go in, and there's guys there that are already drunk or whatever, and so they're tipping. So you see everything you want to see anyway.
Yeah,
and, it probably costs us maybe $10 collectively because we're tipping for the beers or whatever. But we would never buy dance because we really couldn't afford it. We would never tip because we couldn't afford it. But we'd sit there munching on DiGiorno pizza and jalapeno poppers, drinking a Budweiser, and we were as happy as a clam, dude. And we must have done that for 3 weeks until we could finally get a grocery budget, dude, to finally put that together.
Dude, so that is amazing. What a great dude. I was waiting for the catch, but the other thing is I gotta think. On a Monday afternoon at 4, what kind of talent is it? The strip joint?
Oh my God, they had great talent. As a matter of fact,
wait a minute, Vegas,
dude. I still remember this dancer, this entertainer named Lizzie. Her name was Lizzie, and the reason why I remember her name,
is that with an I or an L or Y?
I don't know. And here's why I'll tell you I don't know, because we sat there and finally, toward the end of it, we got an extra $10 or an extra $20 here or there. So we're like, yeah, let's start, paying, dollars to the ladies or whatever. And so my buddy throws a $5 down and says, "Hey, would you write your name on my buddy's cheek with your nipple?" And she's like, "Yeah, I'll do that." And so she straight up did Lizzie on my right cheek. And so I don't know if it was an I or a Y. I don't remember how she did it because I was too much in a trance, but yeah, I still remember her name, man.
Lizzie. Dude, how great is that? Dude, that's amazing. That's a great, I love it. Yeah. So from 4 to 6, DiGiorno pizzas, tap, Bud Light, Budweiser.
Bud Light. I think they had Bud, Coors, all the domestics basically. Yeah, they had an array of them.
Yeah.
But
wonder what the long-term goal of that would be.
Well, I think first off, you're trying to get people in, and then of course, like with a casino or a strip club or anything like that, there's no windows. So you don't know how long you're staying there because you don't see the sun.
That's a good point.
And then, of course, if you have alcohol, you're inebriated, and that leads pretty well into your wallet. So, I think for them, it was probably a good ROI. But, now I don't know if it's the same ROI or not. But back then, the house was pretty packed, dude. There was a lot of guys there. All the tables were taken for the most part. The DiGiorno pizza was flying off the shelf, man. We had to get in there early enough to grab some, so that way we could eat.
It was limited.
Yeah.
And then it might be the kind of free pretzels kind of scenario.
Oh yeah, like at a bar kind of thing, yeah.
To where, okay, I'm going to give you free drinks and limit the pizza, but you're going to eat that and you're probably going to buy more beer. You'll probably stay. Or if you only got $50, the $50 will stretch so much further if you're not buying beers and stuff. Yeah, okay. Yeah, when I get thinking about it, maybe.
Yeah.
Because I call them peeler bars. I worked at a handful of peeler bars back in the day, security-wise.
Yeah.
And, the one that was kind of cool, like logistically, you walked in and it was like a neighborhood bar, right?
Yeah.
It was like in a strip joint.
Yeah.
But it kind of stood out because on the bar at the very back wall was a door, like a legitimate door.
Oh, wow.
On the bar, like that high up, right?
Wow.
And then what I would do, one of my first gigs, I would sit next to that at the end of the bar. Of course, there's a door to go in the back room.
Right.
So you know how ladies, when they start dancing, they have quote unquote 3 songs. They're not full 3 songs, but the whole thing. So the first song, they're got their bikini on or whatever.
Yeah.
Well, during that song, so when the strip club in the back got going, that door would be open and then it'd just have like beads and shit, right?
Right.
Like you couldn't see through it. So the first song, the ladies would come through those beads and entice everybody that was in the neighborhood bar to come back to the back room, right?
Oh yeah.
So I just thought it was a cool layout, and of course, I'm young and dumb and that kind of thing. But yeah.
I don't really go to strip clubs anymore. I mean, it's
they're a dark place, dude. They're a dark place.
Yeah, but back, when I got divorced, man, they were heaven to me, And I ended up I won a trip with the bank that I was working at. I won a trip to Hawaii. And I took my best friend with me because at the time I had just gotten divorced. And so I was kind of dating this girl, not really dating her. We didn't really know what we were. It was so new. And she wanted to go with me. And I said, why am I going to take Sand to the beach? And I was kind of an asshole about it. And I feel bad for that now. But back then, it was what it was. And she took us to the airport. I mean, we got a great ride on the way to the airport, ride home. I mean, all the good things. Bought her some tourist stuff while I was there and whatever. But we were the only two dudes on the island, I think, that went to Hawaii and didn't walk out with a tan, because we partied all night, dude. We ended up. That's how I met my buddy who was in law school. He was on the island. He was going to Hawaii Pacific University, and he shows up. Massive dreadlocks, and he shows up on a scooter and the mirror's falling off and all this sort of stuff, and he brought us to all these different places, and we started drinking these things that were called Surfer on Acid. It's a Jaeger based drink, and I'd have to really look it up, but they had like fresh papaya juice and fresh mango juice and all. I mean, it was some good stuff. We were schmammered, right? And my buddy who was local there, he's trying to show us a strip club because he keeps telling us how good the strip clubs are. So the first strip club we go to, you had to walk up these steps, probably 20 steps or something like that. And we walk up, and it was a $10 cover to get in. So we pay the $10, and it literally closed in 10 minutes. And they kicked us out. And I'm like, well, that was stupid,
So you paid wait a minute, you paid the $10.
Yeah.
But then they kicked you out.
$1 a minute. We didn't even get a taste. We didn't get a dance. We didn't get nothing. We didn't even order a beer yet. So we end up walking around the corner, and we're probably in a bad neighborhood in Honolulu. I'm going to be flat honest with you, because you walk down this alley and that alley and this alley. We finally end up in some little alley doorway, and it looked like one of those Russian China dolls, or one of those Russian dolls, that like that they have all the things, the same one in it. That's what the lady looked like at the front door. And she goes, "You guys want strip club?" And I said, "Yeah, we want a strip club." She goes, "It's $10 cover, $10, $5 cover, $5 for beer." Okay, perfect. That's fine. So I hand her the $10, and I walk in, and there's this barrier, right? This barrier, or this partition that is blocking the entryway from like where the stages are. And so I walk in, and I order a beer, and the only beer that they have is Beck's. And I don't know if you've ever had a Beck's beer, man, but that's a beer that just sobers you up. It is terrible. And so I had the one Beck's beer, and then as we come around this partition, we realize we're the only ones that are in there. The three of us, like it's the three of us and like a couple dancers, and nobody else is in this place. And so they end up folding out, the lunchroom tables that have the little circle seats on it. They ended up folding one of those down. And they had cut a hole in the middle of it, like where it folds. And so they ended up putting the pole through the lunch table. And then if you've ever been to like a fair or anything like that, and you got those glow necklaces that you have to crack to glow. Yeah. So they had like little snaps, if you will, that would hold those in, but they would crack those, and then they would line the table with those. So that way you have the club feel, right? And in the corner, like where you're seated in the corner, they've got this TV VCR combo. And the only reason why I know it was a VCR is because the porn had the lines going through the tape, so you could tell it was a used VHS tape, right? And so we're sitting here, and I'm just like, "Jared, man, where are we?" And he's like, "This is a good strip club, dude. I promise, it's a good strip club." All right. So at this point, all of us we're just drunk, dude. We're just many sheets to the wind. But this lady comes out, and she wants to tell us all about how she's nursing and all that. Like, none of us care, right? And not nursing like breastfeeding. She's a nursing student.
Oh, Jesus. I went to breastfeeding too, dude.
But she pulls off the first bra. Yeah, I said first bra. And so we all threw $1 on the table, and then I look up and there's a second bra, and I'm like, well, that's odd. You know, and this full nude in Hawaii, by the way, and I don't know wherever you're located, what it is, but I'd never been to a full nude anything before, and I was like, well, I'm interested, right? So put down another $1, and the lady pulls off her second bra, which revealed the third bra underneath, and I'm like, man, what's up with this? Like, you need to start paying me. Like, I need some money back. And so because I'm kind of getting disgruntled at this, like I'm not trying to be rude, but I was probably rude. She goes, oh, you're not funny. And so I start cracking jokes, like dad jokes and shit, right? My buddies are just laughing. So she takes off her first pair of panties, again, first pair. And so at this point, I am just laughing. I am like, if Elmo was laughing in my body, that's what I would sound like, that. And I'm just dying, dude. I'm rocking back and forth because I'm just laughing. Like, I've never experienced anything like this. The libations are going through my blood, you know, and so I'm feeling all those. And this place is just wacky, and like something bad is going to happen in this place. I know it.
Oh yeah, you're gonna get whacked, dude.
And so she ended up finally going through, and like she sits down, and my buddies are still tipping or whatever. And she looks at me. She goes, "You're not supposed to be funny. You're supposed to be horny. You tip me, I finger pussy." And I was like, oh my God. So at this point, I'm laughing even harder because of like, that was hilarious, right?
Oh yeah.
So she smacks the table and cockroaches come up, bro.
Yo, no, get out of here.
There's not like from the ground. Cockroaches in Hawaii, they fly.
Yeah.
Bro, if there is an insect on this earth that I hate more than any others, it's a cockroach. So the cockroach comes out, they're flying around. I'm freaking out at this point. I'm having a little bit of a panic attack. So I step back from the table and I sit on this little couch area, right? And so, like, no big deal. I'm on this little couch, and here comes this lady, and she sits next to me. And she goes, "Where are you guys from?" And I said, "Oh, we're from Nevada." And she goes, "Oh, you're from Vegas? Oh, I got my boobies done there." And she reveals her boobies to show that there's basically skin-covered cinder blocks on her chest. They're rectangular, like cubic, right? And I'm just like, those are terribly done. But I don't tell her that, right? And
I thought you said it out loud.
No. And she's like, "Oh, here, come over with me. It looks like you're having a bad time. Come over with me." So I'm like, okay. And so she pulls me over to this like little corridor that's kind of behind that partition that I was telling you about. And they have like Denny's booths, right? Like these diner booths where the table moves back and forth to each of the benches, the seats, you know?
Yeah.
And so she moves the table up against one of the benches that's there, and she sits me down on the other bench, and she goes, "Here, you sit down. I make you happy." And I'm like, okay. And I'm thinking like an honest to God, innocent thoughts are going through my mind, right? I'm not thinking anything. So she sits up on the table and she takes off everything, and she lifts her legs and she starts smacking herself repeatedly, very hard in her groin area, over and over and over. And I mean, smack. And like, I'm scared at this point. I'm like, what is going on here? And she goes, "You need to tip me." And I'm like, "I don't have any money." And she's like, "You tip me I forget what her threat was, but you tip me or whatever." And I'm at this point, dude, I feel like I'm going to be raped. I feel like I'm going to get a finger in the butt, and I don't want it. So I take the last 10 that's in my pocket, I throw it at her, and I go back to my buddies, and I'm like, "We need to get out of here." At this point, they're so in a trance with the naked woman on the lunch table, and I'm just like, wow. And it was such a terrible experience, dude. Like, I was like, I will never go to a strip club in Hawaii again, man. We had to walk back home. It was rugged. It was terrible.
That is amazing. What a great fucking dude. So I got 2 stories about a strip club I've been at. Well, I've been at multiple ones, but so I used to play some sports and travel playing sports.
Yeah.
We end up in Minnesota.
Okay.
Me and like 7 guys, you know, part of a team, hockey team. We go to the lady and we go, or the concierge at the hotel. We weren't in a fancy hotel.
Right.
Hey man, we need a peeler bar. And he's like, "Oh yeah, go down here. Do gives us." So we all fucking, of course it's in the middle of winter and da. So nobody on the roads. We're all walking down. We come to the strip joint. Same thing you just said. You know, they're all the same. Minimum this much money, minimum 2 drinks, minimum buy, and all this bullshit, right? So I'm like, okay, and I'm the first one in, and I'm looking around, and it's completely empty. Like nothing.
Oh wow.
No strippers, no DJ. The lights are on. Nice place, average first strip joint. I'm like, what the fuck? And the guy's like, trust me, bud, we're good. I'm like, all right. So go to the bartender, smoking hot, and get our drinks, and we're all having a good time. And next thing we know, the place is pretty full, right? With people, with guys. There's some women there too and stuff. But since we got there early, we're right up on the front of the stage.
Yeah.
And the guy, and like nothing's going on. Some music was going on, and I'm like, Jesus, there's no opening act, or what's going on here, So the guy comes out, the DJ comes out, and he's like, all right, here we go, special night, yada da da da, traveling tour and all this. I'm like, oh, sweet, I've heard of women all get together and travel to strip joints and stuff,
Yeah.
Dude.
Chippendales?
It was even better than that. It was 11 little people, all females.
Fantastic.
Dude, it was amazing.
Yeah.
Dude, they couldn't give you a lap dance just because of logistics.
Right.
So there was these boxes next to your seat, and they would like give you a little like table side dance.
Yeah. That's
and like
so funny.
And like rub your shoulders and rub your head and take your hat off and put, rub your hat all over. And dude, and then the final act, they all go to the pole and they go up sideways. You know how you
Yeah.
You know how a dancer will be sideways, and they stack, and it looked like a fucking shish kebab, dude. With all of them on dude, right? The only thing that would have made it better, because they're playing like average strip club music,
Right.
But I'm like, dude, could you imagine if they played clown music? Oh my
like
God,
the Benny Hill intro or something.
Dude, I would have lost my shit.
Caller.
And so then they were all stacked up, and then he changed the music, and the one would pop out from underneath, and they would go tick, 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 like a fucking Pez dispenser. And then they all stood up and bowed, and they all left. And I was just like, what the fuck just happened? That was amazing. Dude, the most incredible thing I ever saw. And they were super polite. They were so sarcastic. Like they would just talk shit to you. And oh my God, it was, I'd go on all night about it. It was fun. And then we were in Vegas for a bachelor party, go to strip club. I don't know, I don't know where we at. Well, I know we were in Vegas. That's all I could tell you.
Right.
And this lady comes up, and she's just, you could tell, when you see certain ladies, you're like, all right, she's going to fucking rock our world. And the second song, she comes up to me and gives me a ping pong paddle. Right?
Oh, no.
Right?
Oh,
and
I know where
like,
this is going.
Dude, And of course, I didn't put the math together right away. And I'm like, what the fuck am I? And I like look at my buddies. They're like, fucking sat down on the stage in front of me, spread her legs, and 3 fucking ping pong balls come flying out, dude. Guess what I did? Volleyed them right back. Bing, 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 bing. I was like, what the fuck was that? I tipped her pretty
funny.
Dude, I tipped her pretty heavy on that one, because I have never seen that before or since. It was incredible, man. I was yeah, go ahead.
Oh, I was like, I was telling somebody about my strip club event in Hawaii, and you said that you were traveling for sports, so this made me think about it, because this lady, the lady probably my age at the time, and she goes, well, I got a story for you. And so she tells me that she grew up in like the Midwest somewhere, right? Like Nebraska or Kansas or someplace, Iowa. And the travel football team, from this little town that she was in, there was only one baseball team. So from the school. And so she was the equipment manager. And these kids, a lot of these kids were 18 that were on the team. And over there, you were able to enter the strip clubs at 18 years old. So these kids snuck out in the middle of the night. Coaches didn't know. They drive to the next town and they go to the strip club, right? Would have never been caught, except for the next morning. Kid wakes up and his eye is swollen. You ever seen the movie Mask with Cher? He looked like Rocky Dennis, she said.
No shit. Oh
And
God.
he was just swollen, right? And so the coach had to take him to the doctor, urgent care, emergency room, whatever. And then they find out that all these kids went to the strip club. Well, what happened was this kid apparently wore glasses. And so the lady took the glasses off his head, folded them up, stuck them up her, pulled them out, and put them on his head. So this kid at 18 years old had a crab on his retina, and they had to go in and do surgery. And I was like, you win, man. Dude, you win. That is the nastiest story. I think I can't compete with that.
Nope.
I can't compete with that.
Even working there as many years as I did, I've never heard shit like that. That's fucking incredible, dude.
Yeah. And this girl's telling me she's straight laced, she's married, she's kids at home. Like, she's not a freak at all, at least that I know of. So I have all the reason in the world to believe her. I mean, she wasn't trying to do a dick measuring contest and stories. She's just like, hey, you said this, it reminded me of this. And I'm just like, holy wow, man.
I've seen some crazy shit, but I've never even heard of something like that.
Yeah.
Well, I see my mind went right to like pink eye or something, you know.
That's what I would have thought. Yeah.
You know, like an infection crabs.
It was crab of the retina. And then you said another thing too, where you know, you show up and you know, you got ladies and whatever, and hot ones and whatever. So here where I live, there's brothels that are I mean, there's brothels 10 minutes away from me. It's not like it's a thing. I've always grown up around brothels, and growing up in Nevada, I don't gamble. Like, I'll gamble every once in a while, typically tables, but I don't throw anything in the machine. Like, I grew up with it. I never think about it, right? You just walk in, you're there to go to the casino or the performance hall or whatever you're doing. And same thing with brothels, dude. I just drive past them. I don't even think about them. Well, I had a buddy of mine who came up, and this is right after I got divorced too. He came up, and I hadn't seen him in probably like 7 years, something like that. And he comes up and he's telling me that, you know, he was divorced and he's been divorced for 3 years, and he hasn't had anything in 3 years as far as any sort of physical contact with a lady. And so I think it's funny at the time. Well, let's take you to a strip club, you know. And so we take him to this podunk. I mean, this is the D squad's D squad of strip clubs. We take him to this strip club, you know, and we're all having a good time. It's me, him, and another buddy. And I was pretty strategic at this time because I wouldn't carry cash with me. I'm sorry, I wouldn't carry cards with me. I'd carry cash. So when my cash was gone, I couldn't spend any more, right? That was my way of budgeting. So we end up showing up at this strip club, and I ended up giving him $20 or $40, whatever it was. And he's wearing these really tight Wranglers because, you know, he's a cowboy guy, and you could see that he's excited about everything at this point. And so right across the street from this strip club is a brothel. And I said, well, you're not done yet. Let's go over here. And so we go over to this brothel, and he takes 3 ladies into the back with him. And he comes out probably, you know, 3-4 minutes later, and he goes, hey, what they want to do is going to cost like $3,500. And I'm like, well, you're not getting that from me. Mind you, he doesn't have a job at this point, which is why I'm not paying for. So you're not going to get that from me. Like, I'm not even paying for that for myself. Like, no way, dude. Like, that you're high. We're not doing this.
Yeah.
And so, you know, he's like, I know. And so we walk out. Well, literally across the street from that brothel is another brothel. So we walk into that brothel, and they had the most gorgeous bartender there. And I sat at the bar because, you know, they were doing their thing, man. I'm not really into that life, but I'm sitting at the bar and I'm talking to this girl, and I'm trying to get her number. I know that, you know, she works at a brothel. At this point, I don't care. Like, I just want to take her on a date. And not 2 minutes later, after they left, they're coming back, and my buddy Danny, he goes, hey, what she wants to do is going to cost $150. And here I am. I'm a moral dilemma, right? So I like, the guy I've known my entire life, haven't seen him in 7 years. He hasn't been touched in 3. Here it is, $150. I'll make the $150 back. No big deal. But the issue that I have is that I'm out of cash. And I said, well, buddy, I don't have any more cash on me. So I look over at my buddy Pat, and I said, hey, do you have any plastic you can put this on? And he goes, yeah. I said, look, I got cash at home. I'll give you the cash once we get home. But, like, you know, I got to do solid for my buddy here. Yeah. And so he's like, yeah, I got it. No big deal. So they go back into the room to do the little negotiation. And instantly, like 3-4 minutes, 5 minutes, maybe later, they're both walking out. And I went, man, that was quick, dude. 3 years must suck. Yeah. And he goes, They don't accept American Express. It's less than $1,000. And I'm point, dude. I'm just laughing. Like, well, I ain't spending $1,000, so you're shit out of luck at this point because I was looking at 150 reluctantly, and now you're talking about $1,000. There's no way I'm spending that kind of money.
Oh, dude. Hey, did you ever pick up on the bartender?
I tried to. She wasn't having it. Yeah.
She was a professional. She made you feel like you were in love until you left, and then that was it.
Dude, strippers fall in love with me, man. I don't know what it is. They just, I walk in and here we go. No, dude, I will send you a picture and you can put it out on your. As a matter of fact, I think you got it. Did I send you that barf picture of me, Barf from Spaceballs?
Yeah.
Yeah. So the Mog, the half man, half dog, that was a Halloween costume. That night,
you went to a strip joint in a Halloween costume,
dude. I went to a Halloween party that ended at like 10, and I was like, nah, yeah. And I was like, man, this kind of sucks. And so here I am dressed as Barf from Spaceballs, and I'm like, here we go, And so my uncle calls me. My uncle's about 15 years older than I am. He says, hey, because I posted that picture on social media or whatever. He says, you have to come down to this bar because they have a little bit of a costume party going. You're gonna win this thing. So I'm like, okay. So I end up going down to the bar. We're drinking whiskey sours, and nobody's dressed up in a costume, bro. It's just me. I'm like, this is stupid. And so, here I am. Feel like I'm being made fun of. Apparently, they did actually have some sort of costume contest before I got there. But my uncle's buddy that he was with that night says, hey, let's go to the strip club. And so I can't drive. I'm at that point that I can't drive. And my uncle goes, look, I'll take you home. And so, cool. And so instead of going home, they show up to 7-Eleven, they all pull cash out of the ATM, and then they go directly to the strip club. So here I am dressed as Barf from Spaceballs at the strip club. I'm like, I'm not going to this strip club dressed as Barf.
No, dude, that's a top level move, bro.
Let me tell you, industry secret, you're right. It is a top level move. I got the most attention I've ever gotten in a strip club dressed as Barf. I had the little tail, like the girls were playing with the tail behind me. They were massaging my ears. They were doing the whole thing. They ended up getting me on stage on a little chair, and they're showing me all this attention. It was a blast. I had a blast, and I was the only one dressed up, and all the girls, every single girl in that place wanted attention from me that night. It was pretty cool.
Yeah, that's top tier move, dude.
Yeah.
Is go dressed up. I went dressed up to a strip joint one time as Shrek.
Yes.
And I had the pillow in my belly, and I'm a bigger guy, built, and my arms and face were all green. Like I had the whole paint, the whole vast fucking everything, dude. And my ex-wife worked at their family owned a carnival, like a fairground thing.
Okay, yeah.
And Shrek was big at that time. That's part of the reason I did it. But I had a little donkey. So I'm carrying a little donkey. Fucking dude. I knew that years before that, working at the strip joints, industry secrets, man. Wear a hat and bring a woman.
Oh, dude, women in a strip club are top tier. Top tier.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter the quality of woman you're bringing. Like, and I'm not trying to defame any women, but you bring the ugliest woman to a strip club, it doesn't matter. She's getting so much attention there. You bring the most beautiful woman to a strip club, it doesn't matter. She's getting equally as much attention there.
100%.
It is, and top tier move. Hats, women. If you can, sunglasses or something like that. You stick the little dollars on the side or whatever. But
yeah.
No.
And I used to roll the bills up like you're like you're in a snort coke.
Do a little sniff, yeah.
And I would just fucking set it straight up on the dance floor. I go, come and get it. They'd fucking come and get it. Just all sorts of crazy shit. Yeah. Damn, dude. Yeah, strip joints, man. When I was working at them, I would see both sides of it. Yep. So ladies would come in. I'm here for 6 months and I'm out. And I would see that. They would come in, 6 months, gone, make an incredible amount of money. Mm-hmm. And then you got the ones that would make this incredible amount of money, and it's like meth. They always wanted to chase that high, so they're always chasing it. And then they end up wherever they end up. But yeah, the strip joints, they have their purpose, I believe, because people do need that attention, like your buddy or people that struggle with dealing with the opposite sex. You know, they can go and look at it a live person instead of just a movie, or and it does provide a service. Some ladies, they're like, oh, that's wrong for the lady to do that. It's like, well, it's
the lady's choice.
That's lady's choice.
Yeah.
And do you know, here's a industry thing too. Like in a beauty salon where a beautician will rent the chair from the owner.
They pay the booth rent. Yeah.
Yeah. Same with a dancer. They got to pay the stage rent.
They got to pay the stage rent. Yeah. That's the same thing too, because like I said earlier in your the show here, I used to work for a bank, and the bank that I worked at would do a lot of business with the brothels. So actually we would go out. The person who I ended up replacing was female, and she would go out to the brothels by herself. Well, I never wanted there to ever be any allegation that I was doing one thing or another. So I always wanted some female with me. Yeah. So I'd take a female coworker, and we go out there, and we'd open up a whole bunch of business accounts and stuff for these ladies, because they are independent contractors. So they'd have to have a place to put their money and everything. But yeah, same thing. I mean, I'd find ladies that would come in that legitimately were there to pay off their student loans or pay off whatever this debt was or whatever. And then you have the other ladies that just get so hopped up on alcohol or meth or coke or whatever it is. Yeah. And they just spin out of control, and it's like the worst environment for them, Yeah. There was a point, and I'll just spill the beans on what it was, but on HBO years and years ago, they had a show called Cat House that was Dennis Hoff, and that was where this brothel was that I was at. And so I would actually be there while they were filming certain scenes, and I'd have to sign a non-disclosure agreement and all this sort of stuff. But separately, they actually approached me, and they said, "Hey, we want to make a segment with you called Brian the Banker." And I'm like, I can't do that. I can't. I'm gonna get fired. Like I can't do that.
Why don't we do that after?
Yeah, they were shooting a Lifetime special this one time, because there was a lady that was working there that was pregnant, and they wanted to shoot like her pregnancy, like she was still working while she was pregnant, so they wanted to shoot her pregnancy up till delivery. And like that's what they were following. I don't even know if that ever aired, but that's what they were doing at the time.
Well, there's a market for that shit, dude.
Yeah. I mean, everybody's mom, used to sell Avon, right? So this is just, OnlyFans is kind of like the new Avon. So it's just one of those things. But
yeah, I mean, you got to do. I don't tend to judge. I'm human, so I do judge people once in a while. But you do what you got to do to make a living. My buddy and I were talking today. He said he saw a lady sitting like in Starbucks or whatever, Dunkin' Donuts or whatever it may be. And she was talking in a phone. She's holding the phone, and she's making these weird noises and these weird like body language things. She would be like, ooh, and doing all this like over and over and over. And he goes, I'm waiting for my coffee, and I heard her do it probably 100 times, like, ooh, ooh, ooh. And he's like, what the fuck? And come to find out, she gets $1 for every time she does that, because this emoji thing. So people do this game or something.
It's a NPC.
Is that what that is?
I heard about it this week on the radio, dude. I listened to a sports radio show every single day, and they're telling me about it. But ultimately, what it is that so NPC is a non-playable character in video games. So if you think of like
that's what
Grand Theft Auto, there's you're the protagonist, you're working, but then there's all these other characters that you can't play. So NPC is that. So if you go up and you make a gesture to them, you hit a button or whatever, they make a sound. So this NPC, I don't want to call it porn, but it's like NPC, whatever it is.
Porn, dude, it's porn.
It's a fetish, right? And so,
that's a better word.
But you'll sit there and like somebody pays you, and you're like, oh, hi, thank you, and then they'll pay you again. Oh, hi, thank you, and they just do the same thing over, or whatever the sound is or the noise is.
Yeah, sure.
And people have a fetish on that, dude. It's crazy. I just found out about that like 2 days ago.
Yeah, I just found out this morning. So my buddy and I came to the same conclusion. Dude, I don't judge that woman a bit, man. You find a niche like that and you're making a couple $1,000s a day. Good for you, right? But then you look at the industry and you're like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
But like you said, there's a fetish for everything.
And well, there's also There's
If
also
you get
mental
paid
health
for it.
out there too, man.
Wow.
You know, and not necessarily for her. I mean, yeah, she might have some mental illness or whatever, but these people that are paying for that, there's a good chance that they've got some issues too.
Yeah,
But I don't judge on that. It's not something that I'm into, and really, like, I have strip club stories, but like I said, I really haven't been to a strip club in probably the last 10, 15 years. I mean, it's
same here.
it's just not a part of my life anymore. It was a fun time when I was there, and we'd have these stories, and these stories are hilarious. But other than that, man, I mean, life takes place, and you have to kind of grow up from it a little bit, I think. But if people don't, I don't judge them either.
Well, 100%. If there's people my age that again don't have that something in them they're not built to be able to socialize with the opposite sex or handle that, and that's where they get that from. Hey, good for you, man, because obviously, it's built in our DNA to get that released. But I've seen people treat those ladies not cool, and that's what I was there for, and and they get desperate, right? She says she loves me, bro. I've ended up in court quite a bit because they go after them. Of course, I have to go after them, and then they, But yeah, that's a industry. Prostitution. What they say that's oldest business.
It's the oldest industry in the United States. Yeah,
and in the world, almost
profession
in the world, right?
Yeah, I think it might be. Yeah, and see, it's legal here. In one county next to us, and then it's legal down in another county in Southern Nevada. But, there was actually a ballot measure that was taking place. I want to say like 4 years ago or something. There was a sex trafficking organization. At least that's what they claimed to be. And it's not the county I lived in, so I really didn't do a whole lot with it. But they were trying to revoke the brothels licenses. Now, I just look at it from a pragmatic standpoint. Like, I don't spend money there. Like, it's not something that I'm going to do. Some people do. But what I will say is you could probably find a statistic for anything, right? But there are statistics that having access to those types of things does lower physical violence, whether it be sexual or battery or whatever, because people are getting that release, right? But separately, the money that all of these women have to pay because they all have to be tested, they all have to have a license. Sure. All of those fees actually buy the police cars for that county. So, and there's a lot of money that they don't have to take from other budgets, like school budgets or anything like that, to be able to buy those things. So just from a pragmatic standpoint, I'm looking at this like, okay, whether it's a flower factory, whether it's whatever, they pay millions of dollars of taxes literally every single year. So if you take that out, fine, whatever. I'm not losing anything. So, but what do you replace? You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's got to be replaced, right? Or what are you removing?
Right. And you look at a lot of the girls when COVID hit, because everything was shut down here, you can't go to a brothel during COVID. A lot of these women were dependent on this kind of money, and they ended up getting back into the street stuff. So now they're dealing with pimps, and now they're dealing with not being tested and all this sort of stuff. So I mean, there's the pros to it and there's the cons to it, but it is a profession, at least in this state, and there's a market for it, and it happens, and it brings in tourism, ironically, in this state. You find people from Jersey or people from Ohio or whatever, they fly in because they want to take part in this.
Yeah, no, 100%. And the thing is, there's a market for it everywhere, right? You just got some older counties. Well, the West is not as obviously as old as the East.
Mm-hmm.
But you got some people that grandfathered that law in because they saw the benefit financially and socially, right? Like you said, I'm not going to, of course, a man needs to get some. Right. So if he doesn't have a place to go and spend money, then that money ends up buying a police car. And he gets what he wants. The lady is there, obviously voluntarily. She provides a service. He's done, so that way he doesn't walk home and beat up some lady in the alleyway and get it that way. You know what I mean? So I agree with you on that. Obviously there's some radicals and stuff like that that'll probably argue the shit out of that point. But
you're going to find that there's people on both sides of the argument, and then you're also going to find that, like I said, There's statistics for everything.
Oh, yeah. Well.
So that being the case, you're going to be able to find statistics that show that, hey, yeah, this is beneficial, or hey, this is absolutely terrible. And I'm not talking morality. I think that morality needs to come from the home, right? So if you want to raise your children in a specific way or have certain beliefs on it, that's fine. But as far as society goes, as far as the culture goes, we have to recognize that there is physical violence, there's sexual violence, there's sexual trafficking, which is a big hot topic right now. There's a lot of things that happen that, you know, these things, as good or bad as they are, do help to avoid. And they are legal. They're up front. You know, you're not having to be behind closed doors doing this stuff per se, metaphorically. You're up front with it, and this is what you're doing. And it's, you know, it's not something that I would want to do. It's not something that I'd want my daughter to do, as an example, but it's something that is there, and it's a real thing that is in society here. And it's literally, you know, I mean, I can get there probably before you can close the podcast, right? So it's not that far away, and so for me, it's one of those things that I don't even think about. I go about my daily life, and it's there. But for some people, that's what they use to get rid of whatever intensity that they're trying to get rid of.
No, 100%. It's a controlled environment, right? So the girls are safe. There's probably some kind of security measures, right, or physical. So if a customer got out of control physically, that would be handled quickly, I imagine.
Yep.
Right. And then, so if you don't have that, again, you end up in the back alley. So, and one of them is against their will, where this way they're both willing participants. Correct. But yeah, that's a long subject. We could go 4 days talking about that kind of stuff, get deep into it. But, dude, I had no idea we'd be talking about fucking strip joints, and that's amazing, dude. Oh God, I got some good belly laughs out of that.
Yeah.
Crabs on the eye. Oh, dude,
that was the gnarliest story. I'll never forget that story, man. Never, ever will I forget that story.
Nah, but we gotta shut her down. I'd love to have you back on for sure, bud.
Absolutely, man.
We can go again and again and again.
Absolutely.
But give you the mic for a few minutes there. Holler at everybody where they can find you.
Yeah.
And whatever else you want to spit in the world, my man. Go ahead.
Absolutely. So the podcast that I met Walt on is the Unfiltered Discussions podcast. If you want to check that out, the website's unfiltereddiscussionspodcast.com. You can follow on social media at unfiltereddis on all the socials, and just be sure to give us a follow and go from there. Full disclosure, when this episode comes out, more than likely I will be on a 6-week break, but you can go and do a little back catalog before season 2 comes out. I'm also a part of the Bleach Brothers podcast. That's bleachbros.com. The socials for that are at Bleach Bros. And so we have a lot of content on there. We do have weekly episodes that come out. And then the podcast that I produce is called The Hateful Gnomes Music Hut. It's with my co-host Jake the Hater and Gnome from the Dads on Dayquil. They host that thing. But I'm behind the screen doing all the stuff. If you like metal music, if you like music interviews, that sort of stuff, it's pretty fun. It's opinionated. It goes off the rails sometimes, but that's The Hateful Gnomes Music Hut at Hateful Gnome Pod on all the socials.
Nice. And I'll put all the links obviously in all the notes, in the show notes and all that good stuff. Bud, such a good time, my man.
It's a blast.
Thanks for coming on.
Absolutely.
Hang tight though, okay? All right, man. So how many times did you say, what the fuck, in that episode? I told you it was a good one. This is the end of part 1. Look out for part 2. Make sure you jump in the link in the show notes. Hit Brian up. I bet you he would love to talk to you. So I'm going to get you out of here because I know you got shit to do. But don't forget, Livery Sheet, High Speed Daddy, my website. If you like what I'm doing here, pass along to a friend or 7. All right, man. Remember, don't act cool, be cool. Till next time.